I'm going to go over some more words from the old Appalachian dialect that my grandparents used to use. Kin people are relatives. Cuttin a shine meant throwing a fit. They would say Tom, Dick, or Harry when they meant just anybody. Like, don't date just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. They would pronounce tire, tar, and fire, far. They would say like to instead of almost. You like to scared me to death. They would say a mess of beans when they meant like a big bunch of beans or a big bowl of beans. It was a mess of beans. Instead of pronouncing how are you, they'd say how are you. They would call a skunk a polecat. Painting your face meant putting on makeup. My grandma would say she was painting her face when she put makeup on. A floral print dress they would call a Flair-dee dress. Flowers they called Flairs. Instead of saying they smelled something, they added a T and said they smelt something. Instead of saying the number 7, they pronounced it Sev'um, and 11 they pronounced Lev'um. Orange, they would say orange. You wouldn't borrow something, you would borry something. A suitcase, they pronounced suitcase. They would call a chest of drawers a chest of drawers. When they were referring to Washington, D.C., they would say Washington and leave off the D.C. When they talked about Georgia, they would call it Georgie. Instead of saying backwards, they said backwards. Instead of saying vomit, they said vomit. They would say regular instead of often, and they pronounced it regular. Like instead of saying I do that often, they would say I do that regular. When they would talk about overalls, they were actually referring to jeans. If Granddaddy said he needed a new pair of overalls, he was talking about jeans. He basically referred to anything with a jean material as overalls. They would pronounce mature, mature. They would call their pajamas bedclothes. And they would also call the bed sheets and comforter bedclothes. They would pronounce tobacco, backer, or tobacco. Instead of saying milk was spoiled, they would say milk was spoilt.